All right, so we are live. It's August 14th. We've got Brianne Thomas over here from the Stollery Women's Network, who is our guest speaker today. So we will get to her in a moment. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. So a few things to go over. Well, I guess we don't have any guests other than our guest speaker, so nobody to introduce. Good. I've got the thought of the day today. We've got some announcements. We've got Brianne, who's our speaker, upcoming speakers, as well as we're going to close with the four-way test. Alrighty. So thought of the day, and I found this and I thought it was appropriate for what the Stollery Women's Network does, is relating, of course, to Rotary. Every minute of every day, someone's life is being improved by our Rotary Foundation. Wells are being dug in India, blind children are using Braille typewriters in Brazil, toilets are part of improved sanitation in Sri Lanka, and dental treatment is available to the needy in Nicaragua. In a world where the divide between the haves and the have-nots is growing, we as Rotarians must do our part and do good in the world. Every Rotarian, every project, and every contribution makes a difference every year. So Foundation Month is November, so we have Wayne and Wayne coming, who will talk about some of the stuff that we do. But in terms of how this applies today, there's going to be a little video that we'll be showing later on from the Stollery Hospital that'll kind of fit into this, right? Exactly. Okay. So announcements. I mentioned it last week. I'll mention it again. For anybody attending online starting in August, except for last week because we had technical issues, there will be the same meeting dues, $10, but for online, and that's to cover getting the gear that we need to be able to continue to do this. Neighbor Center Barbecue. So that's on, I believe that's a Wednesday, the 22nd. I know Tamara has sent out an invite for that for people to sign up. There's still lots of space. I saw your name up there quite a bit, Mike.
Yeah, it's looking pretty sparse.
Yeah, looking pretty sparse. So if you're available on Wednesday, August 22nd, to help out, that would be great. And I think Betty is bringing her world famous baked beans. And we're also looking for a barbecue, or have you got that resolved there, Tim? Yeah, my understanding is that we need a barbecue still for this event. We can confirm that with Tamara. On August 28th, instead of having a friend raiser, we're going to have a friend raiser brainstorming session, because what we want to do is come up with some good ideas to have a solid friend raising event, membership drive. I've got some ideas for that, and there was actually a great article in I believe it's this edition, the latest edition of Rotarian, on, I think it was 12 surefire ways or 10 surefire ways of membership development. So we can certainly address that. Hockey night on Whyte. Tim, would you like to come on down?
Speak into the mic. Just speak into the mic, right? We don't have a camera, do we, or anything? Oh, okay, all right. So on September 29th, we have our eighth. Can you believe that? 8th Hockey Night on Whyte. We've had it every year, I think every year, except for a couple, right? How many years have we been a club? One, right? The first year we didn't do it. All right, so some exciting things about this year's event. That's in the fall last year. Yes had what they call like their fall youth event, and it was a couple weekends before our Hockey Night on Whyte. And what it is, it's basically they put on an event for their youth in the fall, and they get like an adult, those jumpy castle things, only it's for adults. And they have a barbecue, and they have music, and something going on in the shelter. And so when I started talking to Tessa Mulcair at Yes, she says, why don't we have the same date? So we're going to have it the same day. This is going to be unbelievable. And you know what they're going to do? We are reserving the park directly to the west of the Yes Armory. And we are going to hold it on the same day. And so we're going to have like hundreds of people there. And we're going to do it jointly. We can still label, everything still be just Hockey Night on Whyte. We'll have our Hockey Night on Whyte. They're going to do their thing, but there's just going to be a lot of people. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. So I think we're going to probably change the configuration of the rinks a bit. Maybe put the rinks near the armory. We'll put the food and the band kind of at the west end of the parking lot, kind of almost flowing into the alley. And then all the kids will be on the other side. They have puts on like art displays, like all the youth that they work with are going to be putting their stuff on display for purchase and whatnot. And we're really excited about it. It's going to be a really, really good event. So the whole challenge of always having kids come out ain't going to be a problem this year. So there's going to be a lot of people. So I also talked with, they're fine with Save On being our barbecue sponsor, bringing this, basically everything's the same as before, only better. So it's going to be great. So mark it down, September 29th. We already have, I put out an invite to teams. We already have 4 teams out of 8, so we need 4 more. We already have the Rotaractors committed, a couple teams from the downtown Boyle Street Center. So they phoned me already. And another team from a consulting firm that I work with. So things are rolling. So more to come. Not next week, but the week after. I'm going to set up a little meeting after, just so we can get all the rest of the stuff rolling. But everything is in place. So.
So they're going to have this event that they normally would have food at. So this Yes event.
Yes.
They have food there as well.
They've had spotty. Yes.
Oh.
Sort of.
Okay, I'm just wondering for Save On to be prepared in terms of there being more food, because if they have a budget for some food, let's make sure. Okay, great.
Tamara was worried that maybe Save On would say, well, what is this? Where does this put us? Well, it's going to raise the profile a lot because it's going to be a lot bigger event. So, yeah. So more to come. We have a lot more people to feed probably, which is great. We'll have a couple bands. Lauren said she could probably get a couple bands this year, so should be good. So more to come.
Great. Excellent. Thanks, Tim. Any other committee news? Stan, Treasurer, anything you wanted to discuss?
Not everybody's paid up with the dues, so if you can either contact me or pay at least part of it.
By the end of the month would be great.
Yep.
On this for secretary, anything?
Just remember to send me an email if you are going to a different club, just for the makeups.
Right. Yeah. For
If you're bringing guests, so I can connect with Roosters and tell the number. So do we have
the makeups recorded for example, when we went to the international convention and those kinds of things?
I have recorded the ones that I have received.
Okay.
short version is no, unless you have specifically contacted Maria. Yeah, and I personally didn't even know that you could do that. And is it for each day or just for one covering the entire conference?
Good question. It's not an hourly comparison.
No. So
We convened for 6 days, I think like 6 weeks. And there were 15, 20, 30,000 Rotarians, so that definitely
yeah, more than 2. All doing the YMCA. There you go. Okay, and Eli, did you have anything you want to bring up? Nope. Okay, so no more. Sorry.
Just wondering on membership, for those that have met Ariane Monaco, she is busy in the month of August, but she has an application form, so she is looking to join us in September. The process will start in September.
And also Darren Chin has the application form too. So we have 2 potential members coming in, which will be great. We're currently at 28, so it'll be good to bump that up. Birthdays and anniversaries. We talked about this last week, but Tim, you weren't here, so happy belated birthday. Woo! And James, of course, is celebrating his 3rd year anniversary as a member. So congratulations. Whoa. My apologies. It's still Edith Martin, but actually it's I did everything except for the most important one. So Brianne, why don't you come up? So the way I found out about Brianne, Thomas from the Stollery Women's Network is I was at a conference talking to somebody I know, and she said, "Oh, what do you do outside of work?" And I said, "Well, I'm a Rotarian." And she said, "Oh, have you ever thought about talking to the Stollery Women's Network?" And I said, "Well, who are they?" And so then she hooked us up, and we chat on the phone, and now Brianne's here. So everybody, welcome Brianne. And I will just switch it over to you, and then I will turn things over to you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for having me, you guys. I really appreciate coming. I always like to go out in the community and brag about what our group is doing and educate everybody. So I'm going to go through a brief overview of what the Stollery Women's Network is, a bit of a history of what our group is, how it ties into the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation, and then I'll talk about our current campaign, and then talk a little bit about our rural initiatives, just so you guys know. So the Stollery Women's Network, or as we refer to it as SWN, basically we're a volunteer arm of the foundation. Our initiatives are to raise money and awareness for the Stollery Children's Hospital. Is it here? Sure. So the Women's Network started in 2014. And how it began was a group of women approached the foundation and they said, we really want to get involved and we really want to do something, something that's different. So when they first began, they were a small group. Many of their husbands were involved in different ways, and they wanted their own piece. So they focused primarily on education and advocacy. They were very grassroots, and they started these really awesome free educational events in the community. So they invited people to come and learn what was going on at the hospital and how donor dollars were being spent. And these events became really popular, and everyone wanted to get involved, and it was really exciting. So it kind of grew a little bit quicker than they initially anticipated. And after a little bit of these events and being out in the community and talking about the foundation, people were approaching the group and they were saying, we want to give back, we want to get involved. And that's when the group realized that they were going to start maybe fundraising for a campaign. No worries. So as a group grew, we had our first fundraising campaign in 2015. And it was to upgrade the operating room. So in the hospital, they did a big fundraising campaign and they redid the operating rooms. The foundation raised $7 million for that. And our group raised $500,000 to support that initiative. And once we did that, we realized this is something like we really want to get involved and be giving back financially to the foundation. We really established ourselves as a group within the community, and others really wanted to get involved. And the foundation really wanted to invest in this group. So they hired a full-time staff person, me, to come in and to manage the group. From there, we structured a committee that has an executive. We have our own communications committee, events, planning, all of that stuff. And it truly is a mini foundation within a foundation, except for all of our committee members are volunteers, and I'm the only staff person involved. So it's really grown into itself. So these are just a couple of photos I just wanted you guys to see. In the very beginning, we had our educational events. These educational events actually became so popular that the foundation stole them from us, and they now host them because they're like, that's a really good idea. So this was a couple of years ago, and then this as well too. So just some old photos. So Stollery Women's Network today, we have a committee of 50, and we have over 600 involved in the network. Something that is incredibly important to our group is being inclusive. No matter your age, the stage in life, or your socioeconomic status, you have a place within this network. We really promote accessible giving with that. We want people to feel like any gift that they give at any level can really make a difference for us. We are one of the largest and longest running women philanthropic groups that support children's health. Next year we'll be celebrating our 5-year anniversary, and hopefully we will be able to say we've raised over $1 million when we hit that 5-year anniversary. So we've been able to do quite a bit. We align ourselves as a volunteer group with everything the foundation is doing. So we have a piece, any of their outreach initiatives, any of their really large events, we make sure that we have a piece there. So we're always with them as they are growing as well. So these are just a couple of photos. That top photo is a couple of our network members who hosted it's called Sip for the Stollery, is a wine and beer tasting, and they raised over $6,000, which was amazing, and they did all of the work on their own, and I was really proud of them. This is a group who are on our committee. It's the Family and Patient Support Committee, and we have a program in the hospital. It's called a breakfast program. So every other Tuesday, we hand out hot lunches to families, and it's honestly one of the most amazing things I've done as a foundation employee, to see the parents who their children live in the hospital, or see the families who are in the emergency room, or the parents whose kids are in the ICU, and to give them a breakfast and for them to say, I haven't eaten in 24 hours, or just break down and start crying because they're just so grateful. Like, it's really amazing. So our group gets to participate in that. This photo is, we had a bike-a-thon event. We partnered with Make-A-Wish and had a bike-a-thon event. And so the Stollery Women's Network had a team to bike it was for 12 hours. I myself biked 2 hours that day, which I know you guys don't know me, but that's an incredible feat for me. So we were really excited about that. And then this is a photo from our, the foundation hosts a run every year called the Teddy Bear Fun Run. And so the Women's Network has a teddy bear hospital there, and we build medical play kits so the kids can bring their teddy bears and then kind of fix them. And medical play is something that's really great that the foundation likes to focus on, so it makes it a little bit less scary for kids who are in the hospital. So we brought it out to Teddy Bear Fun Run. So the Giving Comfort campaign. So I touched on our last campaign with the operating room, which that ended after 2 years. So it was time for us to choose what was next. Like, we were so excited about what we were doing. We wanted to do this more. So the hospital said that there was a great need to have comfort items in the emergency room. There's 130 families on average every day that come into the emergency room. And because we're helping children, it's not just the patient that's coming in. It's their parents. It's their siblings. Sometimes you're a single parent and you can't leave the kids at home. So most people who come to the emergency room weren't planning on coming that day. It's unexpected. They're stressed out. They don't want to be there, and they need something to help them out. Recently, we were in the emergency room handing out items, and a dad had blood all over himself. His son had cut himself really badly and he bled everywhere. And we were like, here, have a t-shirt so you don't have to sit in this blood-soaked shirt for the next 12 hours. And so it's just those types of things, like, you just aren't planning for it. So we're trying to offer items that can help from emergent, but not as stressful, and to the very stressful and the extreme. So I did bring a couple of the items, well, actually an example of all the items, and I brought them over there. So I encourage you guys to just check them out once I'm done speaking. But we've got t-shirts, as I mentioned, toiletry kits. So we gave it a toiletry kit today to a family that wasn't planning on having to spend the night, but they were going to have to spend the night today. Coloring books, teen coloring books, puzzle cubes, books. So for adults all the way to kids. And these items, they make a difference, not only just to make your visit a little bit less stressful, but we had a woman came up to me today. So I'll give you guys a bit of a background. We hand out these items semi-regularly. So we bring in our committee members and we get to give out the items to patients and their families, which is really amazing because you're fundraising for an initiative and then you get to hand them out to see people. It's really great for our group. And I had a mom say to me today that her son comes to the emergency room very regularly for mental health issues. So she's in there all the time. And this program has made a huge difference for them because if he's having an episode and he has to come in really quickly, she can't bring the items that he needs to maybe calm down. And actually the coloring book, she said especially, he can just focus on that and color, and it makes a world of difference. And so just hearing that, obviously made our day. And sorry. So just a bit of the history of the campaign. We started this campaign in April of 2017, and we launched the pilot in December of 2017. So last year, the campaign raised $270,000 to put towards this initiative. It's a new initiative. We've never done anything like this with the foundation working in the hospital. So it's been a lot of learning and figuring things out, packaging up items, getting them ready to go out in the hospital. It's been a lot of work, but it's been amazing, and the support from the community has also been great. And to date, we've given out almost 4,000 items to patients and their families, and that's definitely going to be going up as our volunteer shifts go. So the staff obviously can give them out, but they're busy with dealing with patients, so they need volunteers to come in there and give them out. And then they've been reporting that there's a lot less anxiety, a lot less of a stress for people when they have the items, which has been making it a lot easier for doctors to treat them, which has been great. And so another thing that is great about this initiative is that it's really full circle for our group. So not only are we raising money to hand out the items, we get to be in the ER during certain shifts to give them out. We also package them up. So this is an example of some of our volunteers in the warehouse getting everything ready, because it just comes in these boxes, and they get everything ready to give out in the emergency room. So that's something that makes us really happy. So as I mentioned earlier, whenever the foundation does, we do. So the foundation has been really focusing on rural Alberta because 32% of our patients come from outside the Edmonton area. And so the foundation has been doing a lot of work in rural communities, and one of those communities would be Camrose, Alberta. So there's a lot of patients that come from that area. And I went down in May just to talk to a few of the women there to see if they would be interested in getting involved in this. And I thought that meeting would maybe end with them being like, yeah, maybe we'll see, we'll get back to you. But it actually ended with them already kind of half planning their first event, which just took place in July. And the committee is made up of just 3 moms who all have their own Stollery story, who all have kids who've been affected and have had to be inpatient in the hospital and have used the emergency room multiple times. And they had their first event in July, and it raised over almost $6,000. And they had their community come out, and from that first event, the community, it's been amazing. We've had such a great interest into everything that we're doing. Many businesses want to get involved. I've got so many meetings. I'm going to be in Camrose all the time now, and it's really great. It really shows how a women's group like this can really bring everybody together, and a cause like the Stollery can get people motivated. So I'm going to show you guys a video from one of our patients. The Stollery has an initiative called In My Backyard, and it focuses on patients from outside of Edmonton in the rural area. So I'll just show you guys this.
He's different. He's brave. He's been through hell, and he usually has a smile on his face. That little guy, when he was born, he's brought so much joy to me. He's changed me in such a good way. He means everything to me. Porter's had multiple surgeries. He's a little cyborg is what he is. He's got a lot of plastic parts in him to help him maintain his health. When I thought about having a son, I imagined, okay, as soon as that little guy can walk, I'm getting him in a pair of skates, I'm building an ice rink for him. And now all of a sudden, that's not a priority. Keeping him alive is a priority. Making sure he's healthy is a priority. Making sure he gets everything he needs to be successful in life is a priority. And if I could somehow get him in a pair of skates, well, that's just a bonus.
With only 30 people in the world being diagnosed with Porter syndrome, nobody really knew what to expect. Porter is the strongest and bravest little boy I know. He's so much more than I could have ever imagined having a son. Porter was born with Barrett-Stevenson syndrome, which is a condition that affects the sutures in one's skull. Almost all of Porter's sutures were fused in his skull and his midface. Because Porter has a trach, he's unable to vocalize. Instead of vocalization, he uses sign or picture exchange to communicate. And he uses a walker to get around because of the pressure that was on his brain. He has mobility issues. The first time I took Porter to gymnastics, he was in his element. It was motivating for him. He was having fun. He was doing something that he enjoyed. And he was having fun with other kiddos outside of a therapy setting, outside of a medical setting. He was just himself. He was just a little boy having fun. We just want to show the world that Porter is like every other little 4-year-old boy, that he just wants to have fun and he wants to feel love and kindness and acceptance from everybody. When you have a child that requires care, you want them in the best place. If we have a world-class facility in our backyard that our child is able to go to, when Porter goes to the Stollery, he feels comfortable. It's a second home to him. He knows who is there and what to expect. Porter's core team of doctors, surgeons, and nurses that work with him, we say all the time, they are Porter's dream team. He has the dream team. He has the best of the best surgeons, doctors, and nurses looking after him.
We didn't know how Porter's first year would look. We didn't know if we were going to get him through this. The fact that he's walking and communicating and growing and developing are all multiple successes. He clearly has a strong health advocate in his family and has been able to really teach us as much as we've been able to help him.
In September 2016, we held a fundraiser called Saddle Up with Porter. We really wanted something special to show the Stollery that they have given the world to us. We expected that it was going to be a small turnout, and it was massive, and we ended up raising $25,000 for the Neurosurgery Kids Fund at the Stollery Hospital. It's important to give back to an organization like the Stollery because it gives children life.
Stollery has impacted us in a huge way. I can't imagine what it would be like without having the Stollery around. I can't imagine what it would be like to try to raise a child like Porter without access to that type of a hospital. Porter is my wonder, absolutely. He changed me a lot for the better. They would always say to us, Porter's writing his own book, and it's true. We just gotta kind of sit back and wait to read it.
That's right.
So the reason that I show that video, I think you could be thinking like, what's this have to do with the Giving Comfort campaign? But Porter has visited the emergency room multiple times. They live all the way in Onaway, and if something happens, they have to come straight to the emergency room. Many of our patients who are in our intensive care unit come through the emergency room. Many of our inpatients come through the emergency room. It's a portal for all levels of care, and our most chronic and most ill kids come through this emergency room. So these comfort items, they're not just giving, a kid a coloring book to pass the time. It's giving Porter's older sister a coloring book so his parents can focus on Porter. Like, it truly is an important initiative. And it's helping patients like Porter and their families just make it a little bit easier while they're there. Yes, these are the items. Pass them around. Like, they're incredible. We've got the books of all levels. The toiletry kits, the social worker I was speaking to the other day said the toiletry kits are amazing. Like, if you are rushing there from out of town, and you can brush your teeth and wash your hair and wipe your face, it's You know, it's those little things that make it so you don't have to focus on yourself and you can focus on your kid. It really does make all the world of difference, and it really brings that stress and anxiety down just a little bit. So, you know, with the Women's Network, the great thing about our group is that it's flexible. It's really about making it work for whatever your schedule. As I showed, like, there's lots of different ways to get involved and to help out. One of them is just join the network. You'll get our emails, you'll get to see volunteer opportunities, you'll get to see the events, and there's just, it's a really fun group to be a part of, and you get to meet these amazing women while also supporting a great cause. Social media, for us, the biggest thing is getting the word out there. Like, we're completely grassroots, and everyone on our communications team is a volunteer. So it's just about constantly sharing that message and getting that out there. Come to our fundraising events. We're having a fashion show at Southgate October 14th. 100% of the proceeds from the ticket goes back to the Giving Comfort campaign. Southgate's amazing. They pay for everything, and the models are Stollery patients and their families. So it's a really cool, fun thing for them to see the kids, you know, it's a unique opportunity for them. So it's really great. So that's going to be on our website. And then, yeah, of course, donate. We monthly donations are something that we rely on. It's so we ask even like $5 or $10 makes a huge difference. We average about $20 for a patient and their family to receive comfort items. And it's $20, and it makes such a difference for those people when they're there. So that's all I've got.
Good. Marilyn, you had a suggestion.
Yes, there is a Rotary Club.
Oh, okay.
And if you're looking to expand to any rural community,
Yes.
then I suggest we can chat afterwards and get you a link to the Rotary District page.
Yes.
To see where all the clubs are located, so all the way up to River, Yellowknife.
That's such a great idea. So we just, as I said, in May, moved out to Camrose, and to be honest, like, we're learning as we go. Like, we just went up there to see if there was interest, and there was, and it's been so incredible, but it's just kind of figuring out, like, what's going to work with this community, what's going to work with the next. And so, yeah, we're definitely going to be moving more into rural areas. I think something that's really special about the Women's Network in rural areas, especially, is that it gives people that ability to do something. Here, we're so lucky in Edmonton. Like, if you want to help animals, if you want to help elderly people, if you want to help the environment, like, there's so many great groups to get involved with, but in that smaller rural area, it's just not the case. So if we can go in there and help those women in the community feel like they're making a difference, like, that's amazing.
Anybody else have a question? We're good? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Kathy, you can come up.
Before we go, we have a certificate of appreciation to Brianne. Oh, thank you. It's humble beginning in so many ways. You're in the foundation and being able to work with them alongside. It's very special. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And it's the same foundation I talked about.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Now, we're probably going to finish a little bit early today. Just have a few more announcements to do. We'll get out of this, go back to my slideshow. But if I can get Marilyn to come up here, she's got a banner to present.
This was actually from June. This was the Rotary Club of Jasper fundraiser called the Lobster Fest. No, this is not the Jasper banner. This is a banner from South Australia, because the table that we were sitting at, there were 6 of us, and it's a table of 8. There happened to be a couple traveling from South Australia through US and Western Canada, stopped in Jasper, couldn't find a hotel room, ended up going on Airbnb, finding a basement suite was owned by a Rotarian and said, well, you're in town, you might as well come to the Lobster Fest. They did. And he's incoming president. Mr. Peter Dry is his name, is a retired professor of viticulture in Adelaide. He presented me with this banner, which I have to send him one of ours because I used the other one for the Rotary International Convention. But there's a story to this. If you've ever been to a fundraiser where Danny Hooper is the auctioneer, he has recipe cards on all the tables for what he calls wild card auction items. These are anything that somebody might want to give up to raise money. And there was a lady in Jasper that is apparently a fabulous baker, and she makes biscotti at Christmas time and gives them out as gifts. So she put on her recipe card, which is 5x7 little card, to Danny Hooper that she will make 50 pieces of biscotti, and it was up for bids. Well, that offer went for $300, and there were numerous people bidding that up. And so Danny Hooper, of course, as he's known for this, asked her whether she would do more than one batch because the other bidders might also pay $300. 5 people ended up bidding and getting $1,500 to the Rotary Club with just biscotti. But to top it off, these folks here from Australia, and I was sitting next to Christine, his wife, she says, I have something to offer too. So she filled out this little card, brought it up to Danny Hooper, and Danny Hooper said, you stay here, stay right here. You need to explain what this is. They have a beach house, 45 minutes outside of Adelaide on the coast. Obviously, it's a beach house. Sleeps 10, and she offered it for a week. She offered it for a week. And the bidding started going, and it went for $4,000. And Danny Hooper, not going to miss this opportunity, said, so would you mind giving another week? And they asked the second bidder, would you do it? And they did. So think about this, that was just a portion of what Danny Hooper raised at this fundraiser, but there's $8,000, all due to these people from Australia that I sat with, and they're lovely folks.
Okay. Should we do an official presentation? Sure. Thanks, Brianne. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Are there any other announcements before I talk about Blake and Seaton? No? Okay. So next week we had Kim Crushell, former city councilor, scheduled, although I haven't heard from her, to be honest. Right? So if she is not coming, Maria and I are going to do our Who's Who. Maria hasn't done hers yet, and I did mine back in, 2015? Some of you guys are new, so I thought I would do mine. I already talked about the fundraiser brainstorming session on August 28th. September 4th is our first club assembly, so we'll be talking about the strategic direction we're going. So each chair of a committee will talk about what it is they're up to. Luke and Taylor will do their Who's Who on September 11th. And then September 18th, we have Cherie Klassen from the Old Strathcona Business Association. And I don't want to spoil it, but one of my ideas when I was reading about the top 10 ways in the Rotarian is they were saying host a speed networking event. And I thought maybe talk to Cherie about do they do anything like that for their members? And if not, we can host it. Just as a thought. So that was just something I thought of. So good. If there is nothing else, what time is it? 6:41. Okay, so we're going to finish early today. We're going to finish off with the 4-way test. Of all the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you very much. And, we're going to be doing sometime in the fall the Guess Who's Coming for Dinner. I forgot to ask.
Yeah, in November, I'm going to talk to you about that.
Perfect. Good on. Right on. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you.